What if I told you there's one confirmed fact that quietly reshaped reality while most people were busy arguing about everything else? No rumors, no theories, just a simple truth hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to surface. When this fact became undeniable, it didn't just challenge opinions, it disrupted belief systems people had built their identities around. In today's video, we're unpacking how this single fact emerged, why it caught even experts off guard, and how artificial intelligence helped expose its deeper implications. Stay with me, because by the end of this breakdown, you may realize that what you thought was solid ground was actually shifting the entire time. Before we dive in, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who loves mind-shifting truths, and subscribe to FactVex right now. What's coming next reveals how one overlooked fact quietly flipped reality, and once you see where it leads, you'll never view information systems or certainty the same way again. The fact that hid in plain sight. This fact wasn't secret, it was overlooked. For years, it existed inside reports, datasets, and everyday systems that felt too routine to question. Because it appeared ordinary, no alarms went off. Artificial intelligence later revealed how often this same pattern appeared across unrelated fields, exposing its scale. Once people saw it clearly, the shock wasn't about discovery, it was about realization. The truth had been visible the entire time, yet invisible through familiarity. This is how the most powerful facts operate. They don't announce themselves loudly. They wait until context changes, then suddenly feel impossible to ignore, forcing everyone to rethink what they assumed was already understood. Why human intuition failed to catch it. Human intuition is excellent at recognizing stories, but weak at detecting slow trends. This fact unfolded gradually, blending into normal life without resistance. Artificial intelligence doesn't rely on intuition, it identifies repetition and scale. When systems finally analyzed the data without emotional attachment, the pattern became obvious. People didn't miss the fact because they were careless. They missed it because it didn't feel urgent. Belief systems protect familiarity, not accuracy. Once that protection dropped, confusion followed. The realization forced people to confront an uncomfortable idea. Intuition can mislead when reality changes slowly, and certainty can exist long after it stops being true. How artificial intelligence exposed the pattern. Artificial intelligence didn't interpret meaning, it revealed structure. By scanning massive datasets, it detected consistencies humans never noticed due to volume and complexity. Once visualized, the pattern was undeniable. What surprised experts wasn't the result, it was how long the evidence had existed unnoticed. Artificial intelligence showed that this wasn't an isolated anomaly, but a recurring outcome driven by system design. That insight reframed everything. The discussion shifted from "is this real?" to "how did we miss this for so long?" Technology didn't replace human understanding, it completed it, exposing a blind spot created by scale, speed, and routine. The moment belief turned into discomfort. Acceptance didn't happen instantly. At first, people dismissed the implications rather than the fact itself. Belief systems don't collapse politely, they resist. Artificial intelligence analysis showed spikes in defensive reactions before acceptance followed. That emotional arc mattered. The discomfort came not from the fact, but from what it implied about past choices and assumptions. Suddenly, people had to admit they trusted the wrong signals for years. That realization stung. Once discomfort set in, debate followed, but it was no longer about denial. It became about adjustment, recalibration, and deciding what to believe next now that the foundation felt unstable. Why experts were quiet at first. Experts weren't silent because they were unaware, they were cautious. This fact challenged frameworks their credibility depended on. Artificial intelligence models showed how established metrics failed to account for emerging behavior patterns, acknowledging that publicly required rewriting models, forecasts, and confidence. That takes time. Meanwhile, the public moved faster, forming conclusions before official statements emerged. This delay made expertise appear unreliable, even though the issue was structural. The system wasn't prepared to absorb such a disruptive truth quickly. When experts finally spoke, they weren't correcting the public. They were catching up to a realization already spreading organically. The psychological shock that followed. Once the facts settled in, something strange happened. Silence. After outrage comes processing. Artificial intelligence sentiment tracking showed fewer arguments and more reflective language. People weren't angry anymore. They were unsettled. When a belief collapses, the brain doesn't rush to replace it. It pauses. That pause is powerful. It's where learning actually happens. This fact didn't create chaos. It created uncertainty, which is harder to escape. Suddenly, familiar explanations felt thin. That psychological shift mattered more than any headline. It marked the moment people stopped reacting and started questioning foundations they had never thought to examine before. How systems quietly adjusted. While public attention shifted elsewhere, systems reacted. Policies, algorithms, and planning models incorporated the new reality. Artificial intelligence forecasting tools began adjusting assumptions behind the scenes. No announcements were made, no apologies issued. The change was subtle and effective. This is how real transformation occurs. Not loudly, but administratively. People often mistake silence for inaction, but this was adaptation. The most significant outcomes happened away from public debate, where decisions are less emotional and more permanent. By the time most people forgot the fact, the systems they interact with daily had already changed because of it. The illusion of stability was broken. What this fact really destroyed wasn't belief, it was the illusion that systems are static. Artificial intelligence revealed constant motion where people assumed balance. Markets, behavior, and information flows were always shifting. People just didn't notice. Stability felt real because change happened incrementally. This realization altered how people viewed authority, certainty, and reassurance. Once you know things are always moving, comfort becomes conditional. The fact didn't make the world less stable. It made instability visible. That awareness changed how people interpreted future claims, promises, and forecasts. Nothing felt permanent anymore, and that awareness lingered long after attention faded. Why truth now travels differently. Truth no longer waits for approval. Artificial intelligence accelerates verification, but belief spreads emotionally. This fact proved that once both align, control disappears. People trust patterns more than proclamations. When evidence becomes accessible, authority becomes optional. That shift doesn't eliminate expertise, it redefines it. Those who explain clearly gain trust faster than those who speak officially. This moment didn't erase truth, it changed its path. Understanding now moves horizontally instead of vertically. Information doesn't descend from institutions, it emerges from networks. This fact changed how people evaluate reality moving forward, not by force, but by experience. The long-term consequences. Few notice months from now, this fact will still influence outcomes. Artificial intelligence systems trained on updated realities will produce different results even if users don't realize why. Decisions will feel altered without explanation. That's the quiet power of embedded truth. The public rarely notices second-order effects, yet those shape daily life the most. What seemed like a momentary revelation actually became infrastructure. It changed how forecasts are made, risks are assessed, and behavior is anticipated. The story didn't end. It dissolved into the background, where the most lasting consequences always live. Why this was inevitable. This moment wasn't random, it was overdue. Data accumulation, complexity, and artificial intelligence made discovery unavoidable. When systems grow large enough, hidden truths surface automatically. Humans don't need to seek them, patterns reveal themselves. This fact was one of many waiting to emerge. The surprise wasn't that it happened, it was that it didn't happen sooner. As systems grow more interconnected, moments like this will feel less shocking and more frequent. Awareness will replace amazement. The real lesson is understanding inevitability. Some truths appear not because we're ready, but because the system has reached a point where hiding them is no longer possible. Why everything you believe must stay flexible. The greatest takeaway isn't skepticism, it's adaptability. This fact showed that beliefs aren't fragile, rigid beliefs are. Artificial intelligence doesn't cling to conclusions. It updates continuously. Humans can learn from that. Certainty feels safe, but flexibility keeps you accurate. As the world accelerates, beliefs must evolve or break. This moment was a reminder that changing your mind isn't weakness, it's survival. The future won't favor those who are most confident. It will favor those who adjust fastest when reality shifts quietly beneath their feet. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you, because this wasn't about shock value, it was about awareness. One fact didn't just change what people thought, it changed how they think. That's far more powerful. Moments like this remind us to stay curious, grounded, and open rather than defensive. At FactVex, we break down the shifts most people notice only after they've already changed everything. Stay connected, stay observant, and join me next time as we uncover another reality hiding quietly in plain sight.